Peace and blessing, Ethiopians. Let's go in. Let's deal with this nine science. Let's deal with this nine science. Okay? This treatise is going to be on the origins of black people. Okay? I came to the whiteboard, okay, because for me, it helps with memory drill, right? So we do videos and we post pics and things of that nature, but sometimes these videos are posting pics that go along with the expressions of the video, the dialogue of the video, right? It doesn't assist with retaining information, okay? Memory drill, repetition, okay? Like I said, this treatise is going to be dealing with the origins of black people, okay? Now, if you cannot give a better breakdown on the creation of the original Sun people, then you have to accept this as fact, okay? When we're dealing with origins, you look up the word origins, right? Gen, G-E-N, genetics, origins, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, genetics, right? You're dealing with ancestry, okay? Now, we, as black people, have been baffled about where and how we originated on this planet. Okay, dealing with nine science, there's 4 sciences out there. There's noon science that goes along with Nuwapu and Nopo Noon. Okay, this is 9 science. All right, these 3 categories I just named fall under 9 science. Then you have 6 science, which is pantheism. Okay. And then you have 3 science, which is religion, which is the last ethereal science of 9 science. Okay. Now, confusion can come in when dealing with the origins of black people if you are just looking at looking from a religious standpoint. Okay. Or a pantheistic standpoint. Where lack of comprehension comes in or confusion comes in is trying to wrap our heads around the explanation of creation and origins in 9 science. Okay. Right now, there are many of us who conclude that 9 science is pseudoscience. That 9 science is pseudoscience. That we shouldn't be dealing with it because some feel it's not really explaining properly the creation of human beings. Okay. Now, a lot of us are familiar with Sonetter and the House of Consciousness. Sonetter has a lot of brothers and sisters that come on and they teach on various topics, right? But Dr. Ali Muhammad was on Sonetter's show or channel recently, and in talking about he was talking about the origins of the Moors and the Indians and the Aboriginals and blah, blah, blah. Okay, there are some of these people who feel like their origins as an Indian has always been North America, and that is not true. Okay. There's not enough fiery energy in North America and in that sector of the planet Earth. Ali Muhammad also said, if you believe in the African theory, the out of Africa theory, then you believe and you have to concede with his fact or his perspective that black people or Africans came from hominids, and the hominids were pale people. Okay. Now, when you say hominid, right, what you're likening a hominid to is not ape, but ape man. Which means there is a link undiscovered from ape man to ape, right? When you look at the human lines, there's a splitting into Homo sapien. This is how white scientists, white anthropologists conclude the races, okay? Starting from the hominids, who Dr. Ali Muhammad said were pale people. This is what we're going to clear up today. We'll not even clear up, just get into. Okay. So, when you're dealing with origins, right? So what are the origins of black people? Which we consider to be called the Ethiopian. Okay. There, in a sense, is two creations on this planet. Okay. One creation starts at 0.6 east. Okay. So there's a creation of a race of people. In fact, 9 subdivision pygmy races created at 0.6 east. This circle is called the smash circle of order, or also the Ethiopian circle of beginnings and endings, or origins and terminations. Okay. So the ancestors of the Ethiopian, of who we are today, came about by way of 9 Eumelaninite pygmy amphibic races, and there's 9 subdivision races together. They're called the Universe Nation. Who are these 9 subdivision races called the Universe Nation? Okay. Which will be the ancestors of the Ethiopian or the Ptahkindoid race, the race with the kinky hair. Let's go to the notes. Okay, so these 9 subdivision races are created in time intervals in what we call the origination cycle, which is this right top quarter cycle right here. Okay, they're created in this cycle and stop being created at the top point of this circle at 9. There's no more subdivision races created after this point of 9 on this smash circle of order. Okay, do we get that? 9 black races, amphibic races, are created in this circle, and once this quarter circle, smash circle, because it's turning counterclockwise, we get to this point, there are no more races. There are no more races being created here. Okay? I just want to make this different. All right? So these 9 subdivision races are, in a sense, living their lives in this quarter of the circle, and this is called de-origination. Okay? these 9 subdivision races, when we get to 6 West, okay, Nupu is leading the way in this creation on the right side, and Zupu is leading the creation on the left side on the bottom. Okay, just want to make that different. All right. So these 9 subdivision races, how do they create us, the Ethiopian, right? And you got to understand, these ancestors, they are not human beings. They're amphibic beings. They are beings who can reside in the waters, the oceans, okay, and land. How do they create the Ethiopian human race? Eumelaninites, right? Eumelanin, CHON plus P, which are sun heat genes, sun genes. This is important. The sun genes are important, plus the kinky hair. Okay, so how do the 9 subdivision races, the universe nation, create us, the Ethiopian race? Okay, these quarter points here, 18 million years. All right, so this start is 18 million years ago from 3 points south. We've just crossed over this line in accordance with our science. We've just crossed over into this quarter, which is the revolutionary positive quarter for us, where things get more positive by way of nine reason. You understand? The life gets more positive in this quarter for us and our descendants. Okay. The 9 subdivision races, they die out. But before dying out, they have organic sexual intercourse or natural lust, right? There is no sexual intercourse in this era, physical sexual intercourse, until we get to this point. And then they metamorph or change, transmute, and transform into egg formulas within the Nile River. If you look at the etymology of Egypt, it'll say the Nile River. Okay. And then they become, right, so from the organic sexual intercourse, okay, the reproduction and the production is the Ethiopian race. Okay, so we are directly tied to our ancestors, and they are not ape man. Okay. After the sexual intercourse and creating the Ethiopian race, they die out and extinct themselves into the Nile River and the Indonesia River. Okay? Becoming animals and the mankind races. Okay? So they create us through natural lust and sexual intercourse, and then extinct themselves and become egg formulas in the waters of Indonesia. Okay? And create the mankind races. And these are dark-skinned races with stray hair. Okay? Now, where do the 9 subdivision races come from? They come from egg and shell formulas out of the Nile River. And they're created by ethereal lightning from the sun. Okay? That's hitting the waters and transforming the egg and shell formulas to produce the amphibic 9 subdivision black races, which is the universe nation at 0.6 east. Okay, I know a lot of this may be confusing, but there are many of us who have this information, right? And this information isn't really being posted because I feel like we are not scientifically digging into what this information is talking about. Also, in conjunction with, we lack comprehension, right? And we lack discipline when it comes down to really understanding us and our origins. Also, we are still under a mental spell, okay, to look through the lens of history and creation through religion, right, and through the ghost. Okay, through the ghost. Now, who are the 9 subdivision races, the universe nation? According to our information, right, they are 9, okay, and Smat circle, the Ethiopian circle of origination and termination, or beginnings and endings. Smat in Smat circle of order stands for all space, matter, and time. Right? Space, matter, and time, which goes along with origins and origination and your ancestry. Okay, so the 9 subdivision races are the Mellow Pygmy, the Vaco Pygmy, the Nile Pygmy, the Hydro Pygmy, Aero Pygmy, Geo Pygmy, Pyro Pygmy, Zyro Pygmy, and Eto Pygmy. Okay, there are still pygmies that reside in the tropics today that are living. Okay, you can attest to them being representations of the original beings on this planet. Okay, these pygmies, these subdivision race pygmies, stand for the activities or represent the activities in nature by way of the elements, the orbs, the sun, moon, and the earth. The subdivision race pygmies, the 9 subdivision race pygmies, are created, okay, by way of the sun, earth, and moon. Okay, how is that possible? Well, when you look at the orbs in our solar system, with the father being the sun, you can look at the planets as the wives of the sun, right? These orbs are too big to affect or interject themselves in our lives because they are living beings with brains. This is revolutionary information, right? They are orb beings with brains. The orbs are too big for us little human beings on Earth for them to do work for us. They are doing work, but they're not doing work by way of themselves, if you can understand. They have spirit beings that do the work for them. Okay? You've heard of spirits, angels, ancestry, spirit beings, right? So our spirit, our ancestry is not just our direct family line, our direct blood, right? You tracing yourself back 4 generations and 5 generations and then you stop, right? We're not just talking about this ancestry, because once you stop living, the light is turned off. Where does the spirit go to? Where it goes back into Almighty Nature and gets back to being a programmer and a controller until that particular spirit manifests back into a 9 subdivision race god or goddess, or a human demigod or demigoddess under the Ethiopian race. You understand what I'm saying? Circles. All of this is a spiral. That's why our hair is kinky. All the time is a spiraling, right? So, spirit beings of the sun, okay? There are spirit sun gods and goddesses. Spirit earth gods and goddesses, and spirit moon gods and goddesses, okay? Along with, this is also included in the creation of the black people on planet Earth plus ancestors, brain newts, okay? Brain newts are described as the smallest particles and the prime mover that does work, okay? So all of this is being done by way of brain newts that are primal ingredients in the universes that do work. And when they do work, what they do is they bring life, inclusive of brain, okay? So brain newts, smallest particles of brain organisms, right, that do work by way of reasoning. And the highest form of that is 9 reason. Through time and moving counterclockwise through the smash circle of order, which is all space, matter, and time. Okay? This is predating any human dynasties on this planet. We're going beyond that when we're dealing with the 9 subdivision races. We can't even see that. Okay, this is where we're here to get you to think, which is the straight line of things. Okay, reasoning is the circle way of thinking, right? A circle way of reasoning. Okay, counterclockwise, the only constant in the universe is change. All right, counterclockwise, we begin to lose power because all ethnic races have a time to gain and rule on this planet. Right now, we are being ruled by the last ethnic race on the planet, which is the white people. Okay, and the white people came out of the Indian and the Phoenician. All right, so the pygmies, what do they represent in nature? All right. So the mellow pygmy and the vaco pygmy and the Nile pygmy represent the space of nature. And the mellow pygmy represents blackness, power of space and vacuum, germination and reproduction. These subdivision races, right, get carried into each and every Ethiopian, inclusive of spirit being and brain newts, your intelligence. You understand what I'm saying? So we are, in their form, opposite, right? Because we don't look like them. They're amphibic, okay? But we are the representation of the intelligence and the activities of the 9 subdivision races in accordance to 9 science. Vaco pygmy, magnetic attraction and suction power, avoidness and vacuum. Nile pygmy, opposites of matter and positive opposites in matter, represented by N and the number 9. The matter aspect of nature, hydro, you should already know what that is. That's water, liquids, elements of matter. Aero, air, gases, elements of matter. Geo, earth and solids, elements of matter, pyro, fire, acid, ether elements. Brain newts go along with ether in matter, right? And Zio is the opposites of space and negative opposites in matter, represented by the Z and the 6. Okay, so the formula. Okay. N9 on top, Z6 on the bottom. Eto pygmy is duration and preservation of time. The universe nation is also called the nation, excuse me, of gods and goddesses. Of gods and goddesses. Now, when you get into the matter aspect, the physicality of these pygmies, right? Water, air, earth, and fire is what's needed for life on this planet, okay? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen go along with hydro, aero, geo, and pyro, right? So the orbs, along with spirit beings, are creating the 9 subdivision races in the Nile River, Lake Victoria, what is called today the base of the Nile River, right? And once they extinct themselves, create the Ethiopian race, and this is 18 million years ago, all right? This, if you go look at the Congo cosmology, okay, you can see an understanding of the circle, which is the best shape of the Most High. Okay, so 18 million years ago. So let's break down the 3 races of who we are, right? So that was in 9 subdivision races, whether you believe it or not. What I said is bring a better creation story. With the 9 subdivision races, right, this is prime blackness. They are jet black. Black means absolute, perfect, and complete when it comes down to the colors. You understand what I'm saying? So when it comes down to us being called black people or the Ethiopian race, that means the absolute race, the perfect race, and the complete race when you apply black. So black is power. Listen to reason and let it be known. Okay, so let's go into, now listen, these pygmies, right? These pygmies were not just in Lake Victoria, Africa. Once they were created, they went all over the planet, and they were able to travel and move by way of sun energizing and what is called ray beaming. Okay, so ray beaming, right, is just juting out. You know, it's a collection of energy, right? All these pygmies feel as well because there isn't no physical death or any violence or negativity in the top half. So their emotions and their nervous system, sympathetic nervous systems, are based on pleasure and joy by being able to energize from the sun and life. And they can collect energy and jute out wherever they want to go. So they were all over the planet, okay, while they were living. And remember, these are our ancestors, so wherever they were when they went through scientific death is where we are. You understand what I'm saying? So, also, in this top half, right, the spirit beings are visible. Okay, the spirit beings are controllers and programmers in the positive. The difference between this point and this point is positive energy coming out of the sun, negative energy coming out of the sun, in order to empower other races by way of the moon for them to rule. All races have a time to rule, okay? But at this top half, in accordance to 9 science, in the top half, these spirit beings are visible, and these spirit beings are Eumelaninite beings. You dig what I'm saying? All right. So in dealing with Nuwapu, right, you can equate these beings to Riskians. You understand what I'm saying? So the spirit beings are visible, and the 9 subdivision races are going through a joyous time of life throughout the top half of the smash circle of order. Okay. So since our information goes in a circle, a spiral, right? Kink, coil, we always come back to the top. Now, in 3 Point South, which is the most hellish point where we go through the most hellish time, and you can attest in the past 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, black people been going through some hellish shit, right? And also disregard true culture philosophy, because we are a true culture society. You understand? We brought the culture. All right? The kinky haired race. Now, they've applied kink to sexual perversion. And this is what they do in the bottom half in the hellish. They flip it on us. Okay? So 3 is empowered. That's ghost. Along with his helpers, the gods that come in their form looking like them, right? Because if you put in God in Google right now, you're going to see white gods with white lights and lightning around them. Okay, that's 3. This information is not new. It's always been here in one form or another. You understand what I'm saying? So that means that this information, the way that it's being spoken about and the way that it's being given, right, and the vocabulary being new, if you go find right knowledge throughout time, okay, then there's a connection. There's a reason for everything. So let's get to the 3 races. Okay. Let's get to the 3 races. You got the Ethiopian, the mankind race, the Mongol race, and the Mongrel race. What is that? Mixtures. Okay. So there's no doubt when these races, ethnic races, started to be created on the planet at different times, they mixed. Right? So in between each of these races, okay, you got to put a mixing in there. So the Ethiopian was in power, right? And then came along the Phoenician. Okay, out of the mankind races, right? What else is in the mankind races? Indian. Okay. And these 3 races, the dark-skinned races with kinky hair, the straight hair, right? And you have in the creation mixing going on. So you have a lot of differences and variations of Eumelanin beings. That's why you got to be careful when you just trying to name a dark-skinned person and saying that's me. Is the hair kinky? Right? Does it coil? Okay? So one of our symbols, which is the natural symbol really to represent us, is the solenoid. You understand what I'm saying? But this is also DNA. Okay. This is counterclockwise spiraling. Is If you look at water going down into a drain, it's counterclockwise. This is the natural forces of nature, right? And the movements and the rotations of the planet in conjunction with the solar system and the sun and the sun itself moving around a greater body. Okay, you got these mixings going on. With this, okay, the Ethiopian, the Phoenician, and the Indian, the cultures are close, are similar, but the Ethiopian is the originator of culture. And that's how you know how old we are, because you can say the Indians got a culture, right? The Phoenicians, okay, they got a culture. And who are the Phoenicians? The Arabs, the Turks, you know what I'm saying? The Hispanics, the Latinos, they got a culture. That's how old we go back. Because you don't have a African collective culture. You know, India had an original culture before the other races came in with the other religions. The other ethnic races coming into like the white man came into this country. They brought religion, Christianity. But there's one ethnic, universal, true culture, science, philosophy that the kinky hair people follow. And it's the closest to nature because we come out of nature. We were along with the sun, the earth, and the moon in our fiery, ethereal form. See, everything up here is living. Right? But not in its strongest capacity. Like, we're not in our strongest capacity right now as black people. Why? You got people saying, hey, you know, the Pan-African has failed us. Now we got to be Indians. All right? Now we got to be Indians. But look. Hold on. Let me the Indians, right? Okay. All that's a whole breakdown right there. Okay. There's no hominid. I mean, it is, but you got to know how to break it down within. Okay. This is being pushed back to 18 million years. This is contention. This is a challenge. Okay? We're not talking about the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah. Okay? It's older information. There's Zoroastrianism, Egyptology. You understand what I'm saying? Sumerianism, pantheism. Right? We're going back to the essence. The true trinity of creation is the sun, the earth, and the moon. There is no human beings or any non-subdivision race, universe, nation beings on this planet until these orbs are created and their spirit beings are created along with brain newts. Okay? So when you're talking about gods and goddesses, or God, all right, who is the God in connection with us? Electromagnetism. Okay. See, we got to understand that we came out of fucking lightning beams and electromagnetism. Stuff that we can't see that exists, right? Created us along with the earth and moon. All of this is, right, the gods and the goddesses that created us. Who is the Most High? We just had an eclipse and people like on earth freaking out. Okay. Do you know how big the sun is and how small the moon is in compared to the sun? So this is all optical. That's what's dope about nature. This is optical illusion. Because if you put the moon in front of the sun, literally, there's no comparison, right? That's distance. We are 93 million miles away from the sun. 93 million miles away from the sun. Okay? Going back to the race, the races, the mankind races, Phoenician and Indian. Who are the Indians? Okay? The real Indians, East Indians. Okay? You got Pakistans, right? You got Afghanis, right? Who else do you have to have and that look just like them? North American Indians. See, they don't want to deal with the origin. All right. We said identify with this. They may not be trying to push this. They are black. They are Indian. They are black, but they mankind race. You see what I'm saying? They're not identifying with this kink right here. And they mind, they not feeling it. They're not feeling it. You know, they want what's considered, you know, by way of the ghost, good hair. They want to be identified by mankind race perceptions of beauty and things of that nature. That's the importance of this information, non-science. Because what is it getting you to do? What is it here for? What was it written for? All right. We got to give respect to the teachers. Okay. I'm in Nubi, Dr. York. Afro Unu. There's contention out there between these two writers right here. They said get the information. Okay? They said get the information. So the races, okay? Indian, Ethiopian. Boom. As I've broken down, when we're dealing with origins, ancestors plus your ancestor, it don't matter if grandma calls you an Indian. When in regards to our science, that's senseless. Okay, that's senseless because when you break Indian down, Indy, Indos, Indus. Okay? It starts making no sense because you don't understand, right? You don't understand what you're doing because you don't have non-science. You're making yourself an Indian from the mankind races, the third category of niggas on this creation wheel. And out of that, you might be defining yourself by way of religion or the way the Caucasian sees things with his science. It means you're not expansive on your intelligence. You're only as smart as the brain who's created you to be, your brain. And the spirit being that's with you. You know what I mean? Drugs, all this got a lot to play into it. That's why you think how the crack era came out. in the 80s. It took a lot of us down. It's a world pandemic and epidemic problem right now, systemic problem right now, but they know what they did. They know what they did, because what does crack cocaine bind to? It binds to dopamine and other amino acids in the body. Okay, so Ethiopian, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, plus phosphorus. Now they tell you with phosphorus, right? These is like ancient chemicals right there. Ancient elements. Okay? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen all come from the sun. When you understand how a bomb it is, right? Hydrogen is only out there after the Big Bang. This is what they say. Hydrogen is out there. We're saying brain news though. So what would brain news be doing, right? So there's a lot of hydrogens out there. Okay, after in the cosmic dust, after things just boom, right? It just went boom. That's boom. Big Bang, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But to get them together, this activity, which would be what we would throw brain news in there, is the activity to get them together, right? And they become H2 or helium. Now, when you look at helium, the definition of helium, I believe it say the sun is in there, right? Okay. So this is nuclear fusion and fission. See, we don't think about it. We just want the sun to come up. We want it to be hot and be comfortable. But the sun is like going through activity daily to stay the sun. And what this science is saying is during this activity and this cycle, right, it's a time where it's pumping out major, you know, like summertime, y'all about to get lively. You about to get lively, you about to get charged up, where you exerting a lot of energy, right? And then there's a point like winter time where you just ain't really got it. You don't feel like it. It's exerting that type of energy. This all plays in with the origins of who we are. So when you say you're an Indian, what is your origins? Okay, because none of your information is talking about this. So that's political conversation. When you start talking about changing your national status, your ethnic status in the United States, that's political. Okay, but what do you need to do that for when you understand who you are and you understand the origins of the races? SLC 2485. And SLC 2582. That might be the other one. All right. Albinism, understanding Eumelanin, Eumelanin. All right. So with this, the CHON plus P, okay, you got Eumelanin and Eumelanin. You got a dumb brother out there by the name of Socalled. He's saying Eumelanin is only brown pigment. There's no black pigment, right? I think I released that in the video, okay? Eumelanin. See, these niggas showing you pictures of dark-skinned people. We did that, okay? Oh, they Indians before the white man came. We with that. But see, where they lack comprehension is when you say, what is your origins, though? It's not just tribe, man. That's not what I'm talking about. Non-science is not talking about that. Where you come from in Africa and what tribe do you come from? Nigga, this is pre-tribe. This is black people. before they got into tribes and before the dynasties came, before, you understand, there was a period where there was no pyramids and anything on here that niggas is like, we built this shit. There's a period of time where there was none of that on the planet and we was here. Okay? And we don't know prior to the pyramids what the earth was like prior to that. We don't know if it was Jetsons back then. See, we supposed to be in the future right now. We supposed to be seeing Jetsons and all that, blah, blah, blah. But maybe the understanding for us to see that and give that to us was already here. We don't know. Almighty nature determines what we see and what we don't see. Okay? Because what's greater than us? The Most High, Earth, and Moon, right? So you have a cycle of time with your life. They say 120 years. You do with it as you want. Okay? Thinking properly and thinking improperly might determine how your life be spent on this planet. Okay? Do you want to be a ruler, or do you want to be living with somebody's neck? I mean, no, somebody's foot on your neck. Now, right now, as we're living, we are still, no matter what we think about ourselves, whatever we did in America, we're still at the bottom of the totem pole. Okay? In fact, Indians, from East Indians are coming in America, right? And they are becoming the Indians. Okay? They are becoming, check it out. Because now you can't play this game. The East Indians are here. And they are Indians. And there is a discrepancy right now about North American Indians. Okay? Where you got to put American in front or something to designate you not East Indian. They over here getting it. And we don't have nothing to do with the Indian. Y'all might get supplanted again. Right? Because some of these niggas is talking about how you can change your ethnic status. Just put an Indian on there. Okay, but you have no knowledge of self. You know, even if you know what tribe you come from, you don't have no. For instance, a nigga say I come from the Cherokee Nation. But what's the Cherokee knowledge? Okay. So you shouldn't be giving me no information that's outside of the Cherokee knowledge zone under the term Indian, somebody else's knowledge. Right? You shouldn't be giving me, if the Cherokee is in Georgia, you shouldn't be giving me Ohio information if that's where the Shawnee's at, saying because you an Indian. What is their information? What is their creation story? What is y'all's creation story? What do black people feel like how we were created on this planet, man? Like I've been dealing with this, seeing this information and dealing with this information for a long time. And still there's to this date, no proper consensus to who we are. Okay? Now, a lot of people got a whole lot of historical information. Historical information. What do I mean by historical information? Retaining a lot of information that go back to 4000 BC, right? You trying to read all that, right? You trying to read on the 60s. You see what I'm saying? You trying to read on the 1500s. You retaining all of that. Well, I'm saying that's good history. And right now, niggas is trying to go back in time to the 1800s and be like, oh, we was the true Indians though. You see what I'm saying? We trying to retain all of this information. What is we the Moors? Okay. Definition though, but they go in action. I understand. We Moors. You understand what I'm saying? We Hebrew Israelites. We Egyptologists. We Egyptians. We Cushites. We all of this stuff. But when you ask somebody, what is the origins of how we came on this planet? How can we explain the differences? Not just saying I come from Africa or America. You see what I'm saying? Because some of us really can say, I don't come because you came from Jamaica, or you came from the Caribbean islands, or you really from East India, you over here acting like you a nigga, you know what I'm saying? You've been over here that long, things of that nature. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the creation of human beings. And all of this being left out, right? Information, okay, that's been given to us by the ghosts for the past 6,000 years, hijacking our shit, changing our shit and putting it into their language, right? Enslaving the dark-skinned people continuously, taking our shit, right? They are not allowing, the world is not being looked at through the lens of a Eumelaninite. You see, it's German, it's Dutch, it's the Brits, it's the French, it's the Spaniards, the lens, the binocs. You know what I'm saying? We're not looking through it through the Niger-Congo way, the languages, the Nilo-Saharan language, okay? Not even Afro-Asiatic language. We doing this thing through English too. You can learn other languages. Okay. There's many books in languages on the Ethiopian. English is the condensed version. All right. So, with that being said, okay, take this as well, right? So, back to the hominids and what Dr. Ali Muhammad was talking about, right? This is a classification that we have. We call it. They're called. Okay. Now, 18 million years is a long time ago. It was a classification, right? So this monkey is ape man. Okay. Under this terminology, or this ethnic line of races, came the Phoenicians, the Indians, right, and the Mongols. The Mongols. Okay. 18 million years ago, classified as Noah's flood. Okay. We put Zoa though. Right. And what does his sons represent? Ham, Shem, Japheth, right? So Ham is the Phoenicians, Shem is the Indians, Japheth is the Mongols. While this is going on, we are here as well, Ethiopian. Okay. This is how beginning of creation is starting off. All right. No matter how far you want to agree it goes back, these are the original races, the Ethiopian and the mankind races, right? the Mongol, okay? Coming out, ape man. So when you say they have straight hair, right? And yeah, the Mongolians is the Chinese, the Japanese, right? The Caucasian is the Europeans, things of that nature, right? Ptahkindoid, primary race. Secondary race. Mongols is the tertiary race. Okay? What else I wanted to say about that? Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it right there that I wanted to flip out. Okay. So in the case of black, right? In the case of black, okay. I'm gonna leave it with this because you can see it on the board. Okay. So Egypt, remember we think with 9. Ethiopia, right, equals ether. Okay. And that's 9, 6, and 3. See, all of them is 9, 6, and 3 got, well, we the creators of it, but 6, Ethiopia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Egypt. All right. And we cultivated America as well. Okay. So ether, fire, light, right? Okay. We're saying that these original people had woolly hair. They did have woolly hair. Okay. Black skin, right, is absolute. Skin. What does that mean? It means complete and perfect. This is how Almighty Nature made us. All right, that's why we good at a lot of shit. But what did they have to do? They had to transform our mind. You know what I'm saying? They oppressed us. You feel me? Whether we was here or brought in or whatever. See, we need to stop having that conversation. We had that conversation since the night, at least the 1960s, for the people today to remember it. All right, we need to stop going back into the 1800s. Okay, because really, nothing is gonna move without no unification, right? Without no unification, that's spiritually, mentally, economically, you know, mentally, physically. Ain't nothing gonna crack off. But I conclude that ain't nothing cracking off because we ain't got that right information about ourselves. You know what I mean? This information is not religious. It's not pantheistic. You know what I'm saying? It's based on Almighty Nature and the nature of nature, which is the God in nature. And with that being said, if you like the information or you dug the information or if you got any questions about this information, because like I said, sometimes we don't have to contest when we don't understand. Sometimes it's best to ask questions, right? Or each one teach one. You bring something to the table and it gets built up. Like I said in the beginning, if any contesting, what do you have in lieu of this that it can explain it a little better? With that being said, thumbs up the video if you liked it. Hey, and go ahead and subscribe. But over here, we just gonna deal with this 9 science, and we gonna see if it's really active, mentally revolutionary, and can it deal with some of the dilemmas and some of the issues we have today with thinking and reasoning about the origins of Black people. With that being said, I'm out. Greg Kush, peace.